An unexpected quest. Two worlds at stake. Are you ready? Days after winning OASIS founder James Halliday's contest, Wade Watts makes a discovery that changes everything. Hidden within Halliday's vault, waiting for his heir to find, lies the technological advancement that will once again change the world and make the OASIS 1,000 times more wondrous and more addictive than even Wade dreamed possible. With it comes a new riddle and a new quest, a last Easter egg from Halliday hinting at a mysterious prize. An unexpected, impossibly powerful, and dangerous new rival awaits, who will kill millions to get what he wants. Wade's life and the future of the OASIS are again at stake, but this time, the fate of humanity also hangs in the balance. Loving, nostalgic, and wildly original, only Ernest Cline could conceive it. Ready Player 2 takes us on another imaginative, fun, action-packed adventure through his beloved virtual universe and jolts us thrillingly into the future once again. Ready Player 2. Written by Ernest Cline. Narrated by Will Wheaton. So, I finally finished. I finally got the chance. I know I'm probably one of the last people on the internet to review this, but I finally get to talk about Ready Player 2. So let's begin with the cover. Again, nothing too special. It was kind of like the first cover, just a different color scheme, and instead of the word 1, it had the word 2. The title. Well, I mean, it was basically predictable that it would be called Ready Player 2. Although I think it could have had a different title. I think Ready Player 1 and the Quest of 7 would have been an interesting idea for a title for this. But yeah, I mean, it was okay. It was decent, you know. Unfortunately, it's going to be a little limiting, and I don't think that the series will go beyond this, even though I feel like it should. But I'll get more into that during the extras portion. So moving on to the story. So, it's shorter compared to the first book, which I was kind of upset with. It doesn't really begin in a very linear fashion. You kind of get a hint at what's going to come, and something is revealed early on in the story. Okay, so he talks about how he is about to achieve this first goal, and then we jump back like a year and go through all the events that lead up to that first goal. I think it would have been better if they just left that first announcement out and the first goal was just dropped in our lap. But once they actually do get the story rolling, it actually starts rolling, like it's going. It did kind of go in a different direction than I thought it was going to go. But I'll save that for the end. Once again, I enjoyed it very much. It had a lot of great, interesting ideas in it. It was a little shorter than I was hoping. I was very enthralled in the story. Couldn't wait. It's a perfect sequel to its original. Although there were certain times I think that it mixed up events from the movie versus events from the original book. Moving on to narration. Will Wheaton was perfect once again narrating the book. I had no faults with his narration. Moving on to the characters. For the most part, most of these characters are the same characters. You're following the same group of people that you've followed before. There are a couple new characters, but they're not very present. They have a little bit of a role, but I thought they were going to have a bigger role in the story, and unfortunately they didn't. It was just the main characters again, going through all, these different things, and some of the stuff that happened, kept the characters apart. Again, I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, for example, Artemis was gone half the time. There was like a world and a half where she wasn't even there. And it's like, it would have been nice to have her around. I mean, I get why she was gone, but I waited for characters to talk about this. But I had one major problem with the story, and I'm going to spoil it now. So, one of the things I cannot stand, one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to writing books and series and, episodes or anything where you got a love interest, is when you take that love interest that they, okay, for example, I already said I was going to spoil this, so it's not that big of a spoiler, since you should know what I'm talking about by now. Wade spent a majority of the first book falling in love with Artemis, Samantha. And yes, they were searching for Halliday's Easter egg, but a large portion of it was also him falling for Artemis. It started off with him crushing on her, then he finally got to meet her, then he started hanging out with her, falling in love with her, legitimate love. And there were times in the first book where it's like, she's a little too focused on this, and he's actually getting the concept of love. And she's like, well, no, it's all fake. It's like, but okay, what he's saying is true too. She sat there and said, oh, well, you only like me because this is all I choose to show you. Well, that's on you for choosing to only show a fake side of yourself. And he's right, because he's like, well, I fell in love with you for who you are. Everything about her leaked out little bits of information on who she really is. From the things she likes, to the things she talks about, the way she dresses online, the way she chooses to talk to other people and treat other people online. If someone's a jackass, they're going to act like a jackass. If someone's nice, you can tell that they're nice. And that's going to come out through. And she's all like, well, you only see what I choose to let you see. It's like, yeah, but he's sitting there saying that online, your raw personality, when you can't see the other person's face, when you can't see what the other person looks like, you have to rely on picking up those small little things from their personality, from the way they talk to you, from the things you guys share in common, and who knows more, or who knows what about what. That's all personality. And see, Wade had that down. But then the sequel came along, and yeah, well, if you haven't figured it out, it starts off with them being broken up. They only lasted a week between books. A week, and then they broke up. Over some of the dumbest shit possible. I get it that Artemis, aka Samantha, wants to help the world. I truly understand that. But she got extremely pissed off that Wade tried out this new thing. And it's like, hello, yeah, he tried it out. He's perfectly fine. You go on the OASIS all the time. Why didn't you have the same reservation about going on to the OASIS? About jacking into an online virtual world? It kind of makes no sense. I get what she's saying in the book, but it's kind of a half-sized argument. So anybody who naysays this book, I can understand them having an issue with that. And I honestly, after finishing it, I think it was all for the dramatic effect. Like, oh my god, she finally tried it out. And I think that's all it was. I think that was the only reason. But I honestly thought, because they were broken up, he was going to end up with someone else. And I thought she was a goner. I thought she was dead. And it was going to tear him up, and that was going to bring him and the new person together. And I'm so glad him and the new person didn't get together. But, I mean, again, I absolutely hate it when you take a character who worked their ass off to end up with the person they love, and then in such a short time, and especially a ridiculous amount of time, supposedly a week, and now they're broken up. I call bullshit. Especially since they worked so well together, and they were so in sync and in key with each other during Halliday's contest. That was probably my biggest main gripe with the characters, with the story, was that piece of it. So moving into the extras now. Was there anything extra in the book? No. Again, it was kind of the same information. I mean, not exactly the same information, but like, it's kind of like, it's like Kingdom Hearts 2. You played through Kingdom Hearts 1. You saw all these beautiful worlds. You experienced this grand epic story. Here comes Kingdom Hearts 2. Half the worlds are the same worlds you've already been to, doing pretty much the same thing over again, with just a few new worlds thrown in. And a story that is good, and that's it. That's all I can say. It's good. So, I mean, it was a perfect sequel to the first one, but it just seemed like there wasn't enough new stuff. I mean, part of it is spent in the world where Halliday's castle is. The Castle of Anarax. There is like, I think 3 new worlds. Yeah. Because they go to he goes to Middletown. Again. Then they go to a new world. Then they go to a new world. New world. Okay, so there might be like 4 new worlds. Yeah, so there's like 4 new worlds. And I don't know, there's a lot of details. I'd have to go back and really re-listen to it, probably. See if I missed anything else. But yeah, I mean, it's basically like that. Some of the worlds are the same. It's just like, oh, you know, you've already been here. Or, oh, you've already done this. You know? The villain was really good. Really over the top. The way it ended was really good. But I will say this. I have a feeling this is it. There's no more in this world. But I think that would be a big mistake. I think Ernest Cline should really do at least one more book to get a trilogy. And I think it should play off like this. And again, major spoiler here. So if you want to read the book for yourself, stop now. Stop here. Go buy the book. Trust me, The score is high enough for you to go buy the book and then come back. Okay, so the third book should take place 2 years, well, technically 1 year after the events of this book, in which Halliday secretly programmed a hidden Easter egg that will provide the winner with 50% of the company. Meaning Wade is at risk of losing half his company to an unknown person. Whoever can solve this Easter egg first. Because this Easter egg is triggered by the death of Ogden Morrow. And 2 years after Ogden Morrow died, Halliday relinquishes a quest that he created, and it was actually the prototype quest for his Easter egg hunt, but then he scrapped it because he thought it was too challenging, and he made up the other one, and he went with that one for his. But if Og died, this was left behind as, an extra failsafe, to give away half of the company that should have belonged to Og and his wife to a deserving user. This, of course, sparks the final, or resurrects the, Gunter clans. Because that was an issue I kind of had with this book, was everyone started to try to do it, but once it was revealed that basically only 2 people could do this, nobody else really tried. Nobody else really helped out. I mean, yeah, the main group did, because they're friends with Parzival and the world was at stake. But there was really no help or no additional people looking like there was in the first book. It was just 2 people looking for these things. So I feel like this last book should be an all holds bar. If they can get this Easter egg for Ogden Morrow, then they get half the company and have half the say in what happens with the OASIS. And I think what it should be is a resurrected version of IOI. A new company, obviously similar to IOI, not IOI exactly, but similar. And they actually are doing pretty good right out the gate. And so Parzival, him and the group, they get everybody that they know together, and they start working their butts off to try to find out. And this is where I think he could have a really good callback to like the Pac-Man game, to something in this that happens on one of the planets that seems out of place. There's a line where Parzival says to H, he's like, well, what's that doing there? And H is like, nobody knows. Doesn't make any sense. But nothing was ever done with that. So I feel like these 2 things, these 2 out of place moments from the first and second book, would be a good spot to integrate those 2 things into book 3. Into a final quest. Maybe searching for 10 different things. Or 8 different things. It also would need to be much longer. I think it needs to be longer. Because I was on a thrill ride with that first book. I loved every second of it. I knew it took me a long time. I think it was like 15 or 16 hours. And this one was like 13 hours. I mean, it's 3 hours less or so, but I still loved every minute of it. And yeah, that's just my idea. That's just my thoughts. That they should move the story forward at least. But this seems like it kind of brings the story to a fitting, complete end. I mean, I kind of expected some things. Oh, and if they do a third one, I think as soon as the Easter egg hunt launches, that everybody is able to do the quest, but anybody who's doing the quest has to start back at level 0 or level 1. Or basically just make Percival lose the robes of Anorax, like not being able to use those because, he shouldn't be overpowered. And that was one of my concerns moving in. And then when something happened to Percival and the robes, it was kind of like, well, yeah, I saw that coming. I just didn't think you'd do it like that. Also, extra note, if Ernest Cline actually does listen to this and it helps give you ideas, you could always make your bad guy come back. The bad guy from book 2 could come back. There's ways. So, what would I score Ready Player 2? Well, this is really difficult. Not difficult to actually score. It's difficult because when I reviewed Ready Player 1, there was already the movie. So I could do half of the score based on the book and half the score based on the movie. This time there's only the book. We might get a movie in the future, but we don't know. So I'm going to go in like this. As it stands right now, this book is a 9 out of 10. If you have the money, which I'm sorry to say, but the audiobook is insanely overpriced. I just looked at it right now. For a physical copy of the audiobook, Amazon is asking for $40. And it's shorter than the first one. 40. I paid like $20 at Walmart for the first Ready Player 1 audiobook. This is insane. Now, you probably could get it less if you go through Audible. Okay, so on Audible, it's $27.56. Unless you got a free book with your free trial. So, if you get the CD, though, it's $40. That's insane. So, I guess, yes, 9 out of 10. If they do make a movie, though, I'm going to give this book a 4 out of 5. I don't know if they'll make a movie out of this one, though. It would be cool. It would be awesome. Even though I know they'll veer way the heck off topic. But, yeah. If it's a movie, 4 out of 5. But as it stands as just an audiobook on its own, a 9 out of 10. I would really, really like to see a third book come around. And Ernest Cline, if you watch this, I would love to help you come up with some ideas for the third book. And I really do think it needs to be a trilogy. This is one of those things, because of the nostalgia, because of the, going with the 80s and talking about so many trilogies, this, I think, really does need a third book. Unfortunately, I already know it would have to be called Ready Player 3. But I do think it needs a third book. And there's actually some evidence to support this theory. The first book really focuses on James Halliday. The second book really focuses on Ogden Morrow's wife. So the last book should seriously focus on Ogden Morrow. There are 3 of them, 3 creators, 3 books. And that's just my personal opinion. It would be fitting for the books to go with the movie, or to go with the number of creators of the OASIS. So, before I go, I just want to mention that if you are an author and you have an audiobook, whether you go through ACX or private services to get your audiobooks made, if you want a review of your audiobook on this channel for free, check out my website. The link will be in the description below. I want to thank everybody for watching. If you enjoy books and want to check out a great fantasy series, check out my book series, The Guardian of Light. Once more, I want to thank you all for watching, and to all the writers out there, happy writing.